Shalom. All right, first and foremost, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachakodash, double honors to our apostles and elders, a great millstone that rule well. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect out here pushing his truth and sincerity. The water for what you do. We love you. We appreciate you through the spirit of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, and Shalom. Y'all. Brother Dawadah from the great millstone camp in Atlanta. Lord willing to give you edifying lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai. Who the world ignorantly calls God, his name is Yahweh, meaning he is or he exists or he to be. Who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, his name is Yahweh Shai, meaning he is the Savior or he is the deliverer. He saves, he delivers. If you're watching this now and you're a so-called black, Native American, or Latino man or woman, then you are Hebrew Israelite according to the Holy Bible. All right, you would not find black, Native American, or Latino in the Bible, so you need to know who you are according to the Bible, because certain people in the Bible, they're promised the glory, covenant, kingdom, and salvation. All right, now, if you don't look like a so-called black, Native American, or Latino, but you feel like this is the truth and it resonates with your spirit, well, then there's a good possibility that you could be a Hebrew Israelite. Does not matter what you look like, does not matter what color your skin is. It only matters that your bloodline goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob had his name later changed to Israel. Israel in the Hebrew is Yasharallah, meaning he is a prince of the power. All right. Now, we read in 2 Kings chapter 19, all right, about Hezekiah's prayer, all right, and how the Lord delivered Hezekiah and those that besieged him, all right, or came up against him. Yeah, he took away their reproach, man. All right, so let's go ahead and kind of want to get rid of these notifications, but it don't matter. So remember what we're doing here. We are getting, just so we're reading the accounts here and we're getting what? The history, right? If you don't know the history, you don't know the Bible. As said per our apostles and elders, all right? Which is the truth that's coming down them to them from the Spirit, from Yahweh and Yahushai, in order to pass that on information on to us and the rest of the world. If you don't know the history, you don't know the Bible. And if the Lord ain't open your eyes anyways, you don't know the Bible anyways. All right, so you're not gonna know the history, and even because if let's say you are a history buff and you do know history and you do know the historical accounts of the Bible, if the Lord hasn't revealed his prophecies and his secrets into you, you're not a servant, not a prophet. You don't know the Bible, even if you do know the history. All right. So just bring it around full circle. 2 Kings 20, verse 1. Subtitle reads Hezekiah's illness and recovery. It says, in those days was Hezekiah sick unto death, and the prophet Isaiah the son of Amos came to him and said unto him, thus saith the Lord, set thine house in order, for thou shalt die and not live. It says, then he turned his face to the wall and prayed unto the Lord, saying, I beseech thee, O Lord, remember now how I have walked before thee in truth and with a perfect heart, and have done that which is good in thy sight. And Hezekiah wept sore. All right, now we know this to be true. Hezekiah actually one of the few kings that actually did what the Lord asked him to do. It says, and it came to pass, but remember, because he had a, he has to save Israel anyways, right? Because of his promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and through David's loins. It says, and it came to pass afore Isaiah was gone out into the middle court, that the word of the Lord came to him, saying, turn again and tell Hezekiah, the captain of my people, thus said the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahshua, the God of David thy father, I have heard thy prayer, I have seen thy tears. Behold, I will heal thee on the third day, that thou shalt go up unto the house of the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahshua. And I will add unto thy days 15 years, and I will deliver thee and this city out of the hand of the king of Assyria. And I will defend this city for mine own sake, and for my servant David's sake. It says, and Isaiah said, take a lump of figs. And they took and laid it on the boil, and he recovered. And Hezekiah said unto Isaiah, what shall be the sign that the Lord will heal me, and that I shall go up into the house of the Lord the third day. And Isaiah said, This sign shalt thou have of the Lord Yahweh Shai, that the Lord will do the thing that he hath spoken. Shall the shadow go before, shall the shadow go forward 10 degrees or go back 10 degrees? And Hezekiah answered, It is a light thing for the shadow to go down 10 degrees, nay, but let the shadow return backward 10 degrees. And Isaiah the prophet cried unto the Lord, and he brought the shadow 10 degrees backward, by which it had gone down, and the dial of Ahaz. Spiritual power, man. It says, Hezekiah, Hezekiah shows Babylon his treasures. At that time, wow, look at that. Baradak Baladan, or Baradak Baladan, the son of Baladan, king of Babylon, sent letters and a present unto Hezekiah, for he had heard that Hezekiah had been sick, and Hezekiah hearkened unto them, and showed them all the house of his precious things, the silver and the gold and the spices, and the precious ointment, and all the house of his armor, and all that was found in his treasures. There was nothing in his house, nor in all his dominion, that Hezekiah showed them not. Then came Isaiah the prophet unto King Hezekiah, and said unto him, What said these men, and from whence came they unto thee? And Hezekiah said, They are come from a far country, even from Babylon. It says, and he said, What have they seen in thine house? And Hezekiah answered, All the things that are in my house have they seen. There is nothing among my treasures that I have not showed them. And Isaiah said unto Hezekiah, Hear the word of the Lord Yahweh Shai. Behold, the days come that all that is in thine house, and that which thy fathers have laid up in store unto this day, shall be carried into Babylon. Nothing shall be left, saith the Lord. Wow, man. And of thy sons that shall issue from thee, which thou shalt beget, shall they take away, and they shall be eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon. Then said Hezekiah unto Isaiah, Good is the word of the Lord which thou hast spoken. And he said, Is it not good if peace and truth be in my days? And the rest of the acts of Hezekiah, and all his might, and how he made a pool and a conduit, and brought water. I don't know why it's doing that. And brought water into the city. Are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And Hezekiah slept with his fathers, and Manasseh his son reigned in his stead. Let me see. Yeah, we'll read this and then we'll close it out. It says, 2 Kings chapter 21, subtitle reads, Manasseh succeeds Hezekiah. Verse 1 says, Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 55 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Hephzibah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, after the abomination of the heathen, whom the Lord cast out before the children of Israel. For he built up again the high places which Hezekiah his father had destroyed, and he reared up altars for Baal, and made a grove, as did Ahab, king of Israel, and worshipped all the host of heaven, and served him. And he built altars in the house of the Lord, of which the Lord said, In Jerusalem will I put my name. So you can't do that, man. It says, and he built altars for all the hosts of heaven in 2 courts to the house of the Lord. And he made his son pass through the fire, and observed times, and used enchantments, and dealt with familiar spirits and wizards. Which familiar spirits, just like trying to talk to the dead and whatnot, man. And people who so-called tell the future and whatnot. It says he wrought much wickedness in the sight of the Lord to provoke him to anger. And he set a graven image of the grove that he had made in the house, of which the Lord said to David and to Solomon his son, In this house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all tribes of Israel, will I put my name forever. Neither will I make the feet of Israel move any more out of the land which I gave their fathers, only if they will observe to do according to all that I have commanded them, and according to all the law that my servant Moses commanded them. But they hearkened not, and Manasseh seduced them to do more evil than did the nations whom the Lord destroyed before the children of Israel. So you have accounts, right, of the Lord destroying these nations, these different cities, and these different people, and the things that he did. I mean, the great flood, all these different accounts, and men still do wickedness to provoke the Lord to do evil upon the children of Israel. It says the king's idolatry is rebuked, and the Lord spake by his servants the prophets, saying, because Manasseh king of Judah had done these abominations, and had done wickedly above all that the Amorites did, which were before him, and have made Judah also to sin with his idols. Therefore, thus said the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, God of Israel, behold, I am bringing such evil upon Jerusalem and Judah, that whosoever heareth of it, both his ears shall tingle. And I will stretch over Adashadja, the great demon, like the great terrible demon like power. It says, and I will stretch over Jerusalem, the line of Samaria, and the plummet of the house of Ahab, and I will wipe Jerusalem as a man wipeth a dish, wiping it and turning it upside down. And he did that to us, man. That's exactly what he did to us, man. We are upside down today as a people. That's why you have servants riding upon horses, and kings walking beside him. It says, and I will forsake the remnant of mine inheritance and deliver them into the hand of their enemies, which that happened to us, right? And they shall become a prey and a spoil to all their enemies. That happened to us, to all our enemies. To this day, everybody talks shit about us. You so-called blacks and Latinos and Native Americans. You got goddamn ICE coming after your ass. You Northern Kingdom, all right? And Esau just rummaging all through your land, Gad and Reuben. You see, and I be watching y'all, man, on TikTok and whatnot, man. Y'all be talking shit about black people, so-called black people. Those are your brothers, man. Talking about they pretendians and $5 Indians and whatnot. Which that term was really, it was a good thing at first, because you had Native American Indians that helped so-called black people. At one point in time, but they loved them though. They had families with them. They married with them. Right, but then after that, the so-called white man, which is Esau, they came and took the $5 Indian concept and made more Edomite children out of your women. You see, out of our sisters. You see, they did that, but then you talking shit about black people. The same man that raped and robbed your land. It says, because they have done that which was evil in my sight, and have provoked me to anger since the day their fathers came forth out of Egypt, even unto this day. Moreover, Manasseh shed innocent blood very much, till he had filled Jerusalem from one end to another, beside his sin wherewith he made Judah to sin, and doing that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. Now the rest of the acts of Manasseh and all that he did, and his sin that he sinned, are they not written in the books of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And Manasseh slept with his fathers, and was buried in the garden of his own house, in the garden of Uzzah, and Amon his son reigned in his stead. Amon succeeds Manasseh. Amon was 22 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 2 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Meshullemeth, the daughter of Haruz the Jotbah, and he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, as his father Manasseh did. Yeah, see, this is ridiculous, man. It says, and he walked in all the way that his father walked in, and served the idols that his father served, and worshipped them. And he forsook the Lord God of his fathers, and walked not in the way of the Lord. Because really only the Lord could take him away from that. Because you got to think about it, whatever your father does, you're pretty much going to do, for the most part, unless the Lord intervenes. That's why people talk about divine intervention. It has to be the Lord, man. Because if your father raised you to be a certain man, you're going to be that man. It says, unless the Lord intervenes. It says, and the servants of Ammon conspired against him, and slew the king in his own house. And the people of the land slew all them that had conspired against King Ammon. And the people of the land made Josiah his son king in his stead. Now the rest of the acts of Ammon, which he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And he was buried in his sepulchre in the garden of Uzzah, and Josiah his son reigned in his stead. All right, so we're going to go to this chapter in tomorrow. Let me see. How many chapters we got left? Because we getting through it. Yeah, we went to 19 and 20. No, we didn't. Alright, so we got 22. So we got Joe Young 1, 2. We got 4 chapters left. So Lord willing to edify. I want to end it off by giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem L'chakwadash. Double honors to our apostles, the elders, a great Muslim, and rule well, peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, and shalom.